Welcome or welcome back. This is Pairs Well Knitting. I'm Jennifer, and this is a knitting podcast all about knitting, yarny adventures, and travel. Thrilled that you're here and we get to spend the time together, so thank you for joining me. Today's episode is the episode I have been waiting for to share with you. This is the finale of Norway. The love of my life and I went to Norway over the summer. I feel we're so lucky to experience all the things we have well over in Norway. This is the absolute highlight for me. We are going to be wrapping up Bergen. I'm going to be talking about Hillesvag. I feel incredibly lucky that I was able to make the pilgrimage to the Hillesvag Mill. I had such a spectacular time there. I cannot wait to share the stories with you because they're ridiculous and my heart is still bursting. I have yarn. I have yarn from the Hillesvag Mill that has come to me, and I'm over the moon. I'm definitely in yarn heaven, and I can't wait. I'm just in the candy shop. Absolutely. I'm also sharing the last smidge of our trip, which was in Zurich, Switzerland. And whips. We're going to go over whips. The whip train that I have, I'm just going to share two of my very active whips. They're very fall-y because if you have been following, I'm not so much a summer knitter. I am fall winter girl all season long, or every season, all year long. And I hope you stick around. Let's get into it. We're going to do it. I'm going to start with my whips. My very first whip, which you have seen, but she's had a bit of progress on, is let me hold it up for you. This is the Garn. This is a cable work sweater designed by Sandnes Garn. This is found in the book, which I actually happen to have right here, of Soft for Women. We're going to talk about the patterns in a second, and I'm not going to go into super detail around the sweater because there's so many things to talk to, and this will get lots of time to be talked about in the future. Basically, what I've done is I have added on the ribbing at the bottom for the hem. I basically, quick will be efficient, I've switched out the ribbing that was called for. I think it was a 2x2 ribbing that was called for in the pattern. Didn't look right with, I think, my tension and the yarn choice. I'm going to talk about the yarn choice in a second. Don't worry, that's the whole thing. So I did a 2x1. 2 knit, 1 purl to get the ribbing I have. I felt like it looked cleaner and actually went with the motifs a little better. Obviously mimicked the same on the neckline. She'll be a folded down neckline, which I have not sewn down yet. And we have sleeves to go. Where I'm thinking of, and if you were here in the last episode where I spoke about this sweater, is that the armholes are ginormous. So the idea is that I'm going to stitch them up to a point. This is going to take some analysis, a bit of math and counting, which is why I haven't done it yet. And we're going to knit the sleeve. If you have seen this sweater before, you know that the motifs are slightly different. The bottom motif here is normally like a wheat ribbing that's done. I think it looks really nice with some sweaters that people have done. It wasn't where I wanted to go with the vision that I had for this particular design, or sweater I should say. So I switched it to a 1x1 moss stitch, just a knit on a purl on a knit. And I think it works well. I'm going to talk about all those little specific details after, because there's more. Of course there's more of the mods that I did to get this exact body. Talking about the yarn spectacular. I did purchase this in Norway. However, it's a Danish yarn. It is called, oh goodness, here we go, Handvaerksgarn. Handvaerksgarn. Oh my gosh, I'm really trying here. It is a 50-50 mix of merino and Gotland. It's by HjelholtsUldspinderi. I'm laughing at myself because I feel like, I give it a try and it comes out in a way that doesn't sound like it in my head. The colorway is sand. I'm telling you this because I have this magical skein left. I have a remainder of a ball left, and you know, true pairswell knitting form, I have 2 sleeves to knit. Let's do the math quickly on that. Is it going to work for 2 sleeves? Probably not a full sleeve. My absolute vision and dream would be to knit 2 proper full sleeves. In what I have left, it's not going to be possible. Like, let's put on the hat of reality here. It's not happening. So what I've done is I've of course searched online to see if I can find this stunning yarn in Canada. You cannot. It does not exist here. Apparently, they don't ship here, or I should say yarn shops don't carry this yarn. So I thought, okay, no worries. I will go to exactly where I purchased this in Oslo, go online and have it shipped. No big deal. It's not an expensive yarn. I think it's like $22 Canadian. And so I thought, okay, no worries. I'll pay some money on shipping and we'll get another skein here. I'll need it to do the sleeves. Went online to Garntopia and put in my address for shipping. It was 3 times the amount that the actual skein was. We are looking at more even, I think, 2, 4, 6, almost 4 times. So it was $77 Canadian to have one of these shipped from Norway to Canada. I understand it's a very inefficient method of receiving yarn, and I do understand. I understand it's coming from overseas. It is something that I cannot wrap my brain around, nor financially allow myself to do. So this is it. So this is going to be the yarn that I have to make whatever kind of length sleeve I can. Unless I'm reaching out to you gorgeous knitters in the community here. If you know of anywhere in North America, or even, I don't care, anywhere in the world that I can get this yarn at for less than $77 for shipping and the actual product to come to me in Canada, please reach out and let me know. At this point, even the lot number, I'm not even as concerned. I'll helical knit, which I've never done before, but if I have to, that's fine. I feel like I'm a little desperate. So I'm asking for your help if you know. If you have any leads, I've even looked on Ravelry to see kind of what I can do with that. Not much. So that would be super appreciated. Here we are. We're asking for help, but we just started the episode. I mean, amazing. So thank you if you have anything, because I feel this sweater will deserve gorgeous long sleeves. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and they're going to be the sleeves they're going to be. I think it's still going to be fabulous. We just want it to be like extreme fabulous. That's all. We're going to move on to the next whip. So that was the Grunsigenser by Hillesvag. Just throwing those on the other couch. Okay, next whip, and this is like leading into Hillesvag just wonderfully. This is the Tulip sweater. I'm going to hold it up for you because she's got, like, you know, the cords. There she is in her glory. She is a whip, so she's not done. This is, here, can I do it like this? This is what happens when I'm holding my mic, and I know it's a little funky, but I just find the mic, when I'm attaching it to my neckline, it flops down, and it's just slightly unsightly. So I'm trying to hold it. I don't know if this is working for you. Let me know. So the Tulip sweater I've knit before. This is a design by Melody Hoffman. I've knit this with a very bright neon twisted yarn in the past, and I wore it at Knit City, which was super fun. It is a raglan design. I would say, what's it called when they don't, you don't increase every other row? Graded raglan? You know what I mean. I can't remember the word. Anyway, it's a very particular set of increases that are done to get this gorgeous like 2-stitch raglan here. And the bottom hem, instead of being straight, is a scalloped hemline. That is all I have left, but it does take a bit of work because of the way the scallop design is done with stitches and decreases and short rows and all these wonderful things. It takes a bit of brain space for me to do, and I haven't got there yet. The sleeves are adorbs. We're loving these. And the yarn, we're going to talk about the yarn because the yarn is just a stunner. The yarn is this. What? This is the unspun yarn from the Hillesvag Mill. It's called Forgarn or Forgarn, and it's literally an unspun yarn. If you have been here for more than a moment, you know that I'm unspun. I have an affinity for unspun yarn. I have a whole episode dedicated to unspun yarn and my absolute love. I review unspun yarns. This was an unspun yarn that I couldn't wait to try, and I could not find within Toronto nor Ontario, actually. I believe there's only one Canadian, excuse me, yarn company, or sorry, I should say yarn store that sells Wet Coast wools, I believe. Other than that, this is it. I bought this at the mill, at the Hillesvag Mill. It's a can I show you? It's a 2-stranded, oh gosh, no, it's like somewhere. I don't want to take 5 hours. It is a 2-stranded unspun yarn, which, oh, here, I can kind of show here without breaking it. Not that that's a big deal, but unspun. So you have 2 strands that are spun throughout the plate. So you're pulling from one plate. Yes, this is a plate. It's just a honkin' plate of yarn as you go. I love this yarn. It is, I mean, okay, we're going to do a yarn review on this later after the whole garment is finished. It's great to work with. I love working with unspun. The fabric is a stunner. And the fact that I can pull 2 strands from one plate makes it, for me, of course, because I'm holding this 2 strands held double, crazy efficient. I don't have to worry about pulling from one plate, pulling from another, and kind of manipulating the plates. It's a one-stop shop. I will say that it is a very feeble yarn. If I had to compare, if you go back to the unspun yarn reviews, this is stronger than the Newton yarn. It is very much less strong than the Plutalopi. So it's kind of like a marriage between the two. So again, if you are someone that is interested in unspun, this may not be the very first attack of unspun you might want to do because of its breakability. I would suggest maybe a Plutalopi, but this is soft, rustic at the same time. I mean, I don't know if that's making sense. You know what? Here's what I'm going to allude it to. It's like a sweet and sour. You're getting kind of both hits of sweet and sour in your mouth at the same time from a thing, like from a food, a candy, beautiful Thai food. This is similar. It has this really cozy, soft, giving warmth effect, but you still know it's rustic at the same time. So sweet and sour, which I love. That is the Tulip Pullover by Melody Hoffman. I will share details about this when she gets finished in all of its glory. But basically, I have not modified the pattern a whole lot. The only mod I did that I'm recalling at the moment is the neckline. I cast it on 10 less stitches than the designer had intended because I wanted a more cinched in neckline, which is usually the case for me. Right, that's a Tulip Pullover. I cannot wait until I put this on my body. And yeah, we'll get there sooner than later. No doubt. All right. Now, we're going to get into the travel-y bits. Of course, I have my notes, and we're going to go. So come on, let's do it. All right. First of all, last day in Bergen. So the love of my life and I we did Oslo, Stavanger, Bergen. Bergen's the last stop in Norway. I knew right away, even before, of course, that we had planned out our Norwegian trip, that Hillesvag was going to be on the map for me to attend. I love their yarn. It's something, again, that as you've seen, I can't get all of their lines of yarn in Canada. The yarn that I have tried from Hillesvag, I feel really lucky because I'm able to get from the Knitting Loft. So if you're intrigued and live in Canada or North America, this might be a great option for you. But again, is limited range. So this was going to allow me to not only visit the mill, which I think is super cool because I love to see how things are made and meet the people, of course, but all the ranges of yarn, like that's amazing. So as we're deciding on what the last day is going to look like, I had planned out with weather, with all these other factors of things that we were doing, hiking the mountains and whatever in Bergen, that the last day would be dedicated for the Hillesvag adventure. Love my life obviously isn't super interested in hanging out in a mill all day and watching me drool over yarn, which is totally cool. So we decided to go to the textile museum first and then go on our separate ways. So let's talk about that. So Love My Life and I did not rent a car. Often when we go over to Europe, we manage to do public transit and walking around to get to the places we need to go. The public transportation is much more efficient in general than here, usually quite cost effective, runs on time, and yeah, I actually find in other countries public transportation is entertaining and can be a great time. Sometimes not, it really depends. So we ended up taking a bus to the textile museum. The textile museum is called the Textile Industry Museum in Solhus. This is a village, and in Norwegian is the Textile Industrimuseet. There we go. And in my memory, it was about maybe like a half hour, 45-minute ride on a bus from Bergen to the mill. Pretty much the bus drops you off just outside of the mill. Again, nice, like a nice option if you're not renting a car. If you're renting a car, apparently it's like a 17-minute drive. We get there when the mill opens. So the textile museum is at the bottom of the valley, which makes sense because they're on the water and they need water to run the mill. This, you know, if you've done mills before, you understand that this is how it works. So we get dropped off. The textile mill is also a heritage site now and had started or opened in 1859. This has a lot of roots to not only, I think, you know, Norwegian business and mills, but also to this particular village of Solhus. We attended a guided tour, and as well, we watched a little video to begin the tour to give us kind of general information about the history of the mill. Within the mill itself, not only is it a dedicated museum now, but they also have a cafe, a shop, and a gallery. So at the mill, we started with a guided tour that started promptly at 11. Like I said, we started with a little video and people came in to join as the film was going on about the mill. This is where we started learning about the history of the mill first. Then we were greeted by the tour guide. The tour guide was super lovely and informative, very sweet, and took us around the different floors of the mill. The mill is probably the most beautiful mill that I have ever been in. Mind you, it is still somewhat a functioning mill, but because they're not primarily processing, it's very clean because I believe it's a museum first. So they obviously, everything is tickety-boo, tidy, and I think, again, if you've been in a mill that creates textiles or fabrics, I should say, or yarn, it's the nature of the beast. They're not always the cleanest because of what they're doing to create these fabrics or yarn or whatever. But this was spectacularly clean. They have some of the original machinery that is there and amazingly still works. Our guided tour, our tour guide showed us and explained how basically fleeces went from the fleece from the sheep all the way up to a garment, a clothing item. It was awesome. And demonstrated with running the machines, and everyone that she did worked. It was awesome. So within that guided tour, it was really interactive. You could ask questions. It was great to see, I think, the process again of how things have not really changed so much from, 100 and what was that, like 150, 140 years ago to today in creating this kind of fabric or garment in, for example, a mill like this. Sadly, as they went on to say kind of where the mill had gone, is that their profit, I should say, sadly started getting, it decreased because I think the need of the consumer became less of quality and more of a price concern. And so other mills in other countries that were able to produce garments for far less, the quality wasn't there, but the price was right for the consumer, it really decreases sales for this particular textile museum in Solhaus. Sadly, as things do, that kind of is what I think, dissipated that company. And so now they are a mill primarily. They still produce fabrics and garments, which I think is really cool, but they are now a museum. And I think this is all the fast fashion versus slow fashion. And I think it's everything that you and I really believe in. Sustainable fabrics, natural fabrics as much as you can, and fibers, and just that slower process of making with quality, which I think is, for me, is really a big value that I have. And it probably you too, because you're here. There is also a gallery that has art pieces from, I believe it's local artisans or textile artists that are not only fiber related, but some were crochet. I'll pop pictures in. Full crochet, life-size statues, I would say. There were statues of people, all crocheted, all textile or yarn that was produced from the mill itself with the artist, and was just a really cool surprise. I had no idea. They also had a shop at the end of the tour, of course, and normally when I feel in my experience, when you get walked through the shop, it's very ticky-tacky and plastic and not so much my thing, so you usually just pass through. This, again, is a textile, like, aficionado. It was amazing. They had handmade knits out of the things like the yarns that they were producing here, different garments. They had I can't even remember because I literally was in there for 2 seconds. But natural fiber things. We had purchased some soap, which is not Norwegian, but woolly fatty soap. That just, I literally took it out of the basket after shooting. I think I did a little video or a photo of the shop in like 2 seconds. Gave this the love of my life. I also picked up these socks, which seem very boring, but the socks were produced in the textile museum, which I feel is really cool. And they're 80% wool, 20% lycra. And again, like, they were, not only is it a cool memory, I haven't opened them up yet properly because I wanted to show you in their like prettier form. But they were really inexpensive. Canadian, I think they were, like $10 Canadian. And for a wool sock, usually I wear icebreaker socks that are a New Zealand-based company with a high content of wool. And they're like triple this price. Anyway, so really cool and a great little memory of the textile museum. But I was in a race. I literally had the tour that was about an hour long, and I knew I had to hustle to get to one of the very few buses that could take me to Hillesvag. So I thank the tour guide very much. I kissed the love of my life goodbye, and I ran. I ran away from the Textile Museum uphill. It was, oh gosh, I can't even tell you. All the way uphill to the bus stop. Now, I'm also sharing that I do not, when I travel, I do not have internet access, period, outside of buildings or Wi-Fi networks within like hotels or cafes, that kind of thing. So when I'm out and about, I have to be super prepared with where I'm going. I take photos of maps. I try to see where I'm, like how to get there ahead of time, so I know, you know, how to get from A to B without internet now. And so I was going off of, you know, my directions in my body and also like screenshots of my phone. I knew I had to get to the bus stop in, I think it was like 28 minutes from where I was at the Textile Museum. I didn't realize it was uphill in my brain at the time, and it was the hottest day in Bergen, and we actually ironically didn't have rain in my memory that day. So it was a sweaty hustle up the hill. I think it was a mountain. I'll say a mountain. It was a little crazy. It was one of the few times I think I wish I had had a car or someone drive me. It was a little bonkers. There were times where I thought I wasn't sure if I was going to make the bus, because again, I don't know if you've ever done like getting anywhere on your phone without the internet, but there's the blue dot on the Google map. And if you're not on a connection, like if you don't have, you know, your 5G network, the blue dot can put you somewhere where you're really not. So in some points it was putting me in the fjord. Like it looked like I was literally swimming in a fjord on the map, not on the road. So again, I was kind of going by gut as well. This is how we travel. And yeah, and I was on my own. And so I felt, I mean, it's Norway. I'm safe. I know I'm safe. The roads also at this point were, you know, one lane kind of thing. They were suitable for one car, maybe one and a half. And so I was very careful, hugging to the proper side of the road, which is the opposite way traffic is coming. And anytime a car was coming in my direction, I would get over either on the shoulder as much as I could. Sometimes there was a wall with the fjord beside. I would hug the wall. People were very respectful driving and tried to, you know, make their way around me and slow down, which I feel was really lovely. So thank you to the drivers. Got up to where the bus stop would be. There were 4. It was on a highway, an actual highway of like, I think 4 lanes of traffic going, you know, over 100 kilometers an hour. And I had to decide where I was going, what bus stop I was going to. That was a whole thing. And I had minutes to decide where I was going. And if not, I could have missed my bus. So I ran to the first bus stop. I think, gosh, I'm a runner is all I could think. And that was going in the opposite direction back to Bergen, which I suspected it was. I couldn't obviously run over the highway. So I ran under the highway. There was like an underpass for pedestrians. So I did that. Then I had an option of 2 different bus stops. Ran to one, didn't have the right numbers. And again, everything that we had encountered at this point in Norway, there was English provided as well on signs. Shockingly, at this point at the bus stop, there was only Norwegian. That was a fun surprise. So ran to the other bus stop, hoping that this was the right bus stop, because now I'm down to the wire. I've got literally like 90 seconds until this bus is supposed to come. And I wasn't sure if they run like on Swiss time where everything is like super on time. So I was in a bit of a panic. I get to the bus stop, I check the numbers, and the number didn't totally correspond with the number I had. There was like a variation of a letter and a number. Anyway, so I was hoping for the best, and I thought, you know what, the worst comes to worst, I don't get the bus to go to Hillesvag, and maybe I just thumb a cab. So the bus didn't come for a while, and I thought, uh-oh, now we're past the time it's supposed to come. I think it was 10 minutes later, and I was very much considering trying to take a cab. I didn't see one cab out here. Like, we're pretty much in the middle of nowhere. I would say it's very remote, because you're 45 minutes plus outside of Bergen at this point. And the bus came. A bus came. It had the number on the, what's it called? The bus list, but not on my phone. I went up to the driver in English, and I said, are you going to Hillesvag Mill? His answer, no. No, you're not going to Hillesvag? And he looks at me, and I think he does like a quick assessment. She's not Norwegian. She's asking for Hillesvag. So then he says, yes, Hillesvag. I'm like, great. I have no idea what's happening. So I show him my phone because I have the Bergen card. I didn't even talk about that. There's a Bergen card, like often most cities do, where you can purchase a one-stop shop of a card or electronic card, and it gets you access or less expensive access to ticketed attractions and sometimes transportation. The Bergen card did that, so it was a variety of transportation options for included in the Bergen card price, along with a reduced fee for attractions. So, for example, the Textile Museum was a reduced fee to enter because it was a ticketed attraction. I say I have the Bergen card. He's like, I don't know what that is. I'm like, great, okay. I don't care. At this point, I'm willing to like cut off my hair and give it to him. So I said, okay, what do you want me to do? So I had a photo, again, no internet, of the card and the QR code. He tried to scan it, doesn't work. At this point, he's frustrated. He's being very kind, but he's done with me. I've given him enough. So he said, just sit down. Okay. I go sit down. I'm not computing this yet in my brain. The bus is packed. And again, if I believe you know Norwegian culture, it is one person per 2 seats. That's our comfort level. There was no double seat available. I had to sit with another man. I was the only one sitting with someone else. Here I am, the English person. I've already given a problem to the poor driver. I asked the gentleman right here, I said, may I please sit down in this seat? He said yes. I was very thankful. So I sat down. Mind my P's and Q's and just tried to follow kind of some guidance from Google Map without the internet and the blue dot. Am I even going to the right place? Are we going the right direction? Like, I don't know. I don't know where I am. It's beautiful. I don't know where I am. So I'm realizing on the route that we are heading towards Hillesvag to like be less stressed now because I'm en route. There's nothing I can do. I'm on the bus. We're going. And I'm realizing I'm getting really excited. This was my dream to participate in Norway. So we're coming up to Hillesvag, and I know that this is great. So I think by the time we arrive at the top of the hill of Hillesvag, I think I want to say an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. 2 hours, I think, at this point, max, before the museum closes. I also organized to see when the next bus comes out to do a pickup to bring me back to Bergen. And it is 6 minutes past the close of the mill. So everything has to be tickety-boo. If I don't catch that bus, I don't think I get a bus until like 7:30 that night. The mill was closing at 4, if you catch my drift. So this all had to happen. And so the bus driver drops me off. I thank him very much. And I hustled down the switchback to the Hillesvag Mill. Of course, again, it's a mill, so it's on the water. So you have to go down the hill to get to where the fjord is and the mill. I come across, it was almost like I wish I could have recorded my experience because I was again, a little sweaty. So I hustle around the last switchback of the corner before the mill. The mill pops up here. The fjord is here. And I just hear, ah. It was great. I was like, I made it. I made it. It's like at this point, I don't even care. Like, I'm there. Independent girl. Here we are. We're at the Hillesvag Mill. I got here. No car, no internet. And we're doing it. Jazzed. So I see the sign, I do a little photo, and I'm just so thrilled. I walk up, there's in the first door on the far side, there was a door that entered. I didn't know where it entered, but it was actually to the mill. They had it opened up, I guess, for breeze and getting it cooler. I tried to go in there, and the guy's like, hello. I was like, oh, that's not it. Okay, hi. So I bebopped down, and I went into another door, which was the entry door in the very back of the mill. So just a note to the wise. And I walk in, and I see two lovely ladies who work there. One in her 20s, one about, I think, my age. And they said, welcome. Norwegian first, and then switched to English. They quickly found out I was an English girl. And I said, I can't believe I'm here. And I might have been a little much for them, I think. My excitement, perhaps personality. They were super lovely. They said, if there's anything we can help you with. I asked if I could take video, photo. I explained to have a podcast. Like, of course, do it. I said, I'll take no faces. And that was it. So now I had, I think it was a 1.5 hour mark-ish to bounce around the mill and do my thing. Now, I'm going to correct myself. It's got to be 2 hours. It had to be 2 hours for everything I did. 2 hours. So one of the ladies walks me up because there's main floor with the shop. And then she walks me up the stairs. There's like a washroom. The mill is on the second floor. I want to say second floor. And another like shop area and knitting area. And oh my God, I'm in love with everything. All I want to do is start touching and exploring and smelling and squishing. And I'm trying to compose myself. And so she had asked, do I want to see the video? Because I had already emailed ahead of time months ago if I could participate and organize a tour, a guided tour of the mill. It's summertime. Traditionally, mills are closed in the summer, if you know this as well. And so they very nicely wrote the email right back, responded and said, so sorry, the mill isn't open for guided tours in the summer, but you're very welcome to look. There'll be something going on you can see. And there's a video, little film about the mill. So it's like, great. So one of the ladies put on the video for me. It's like, I don't know, 5-6 minute video about the mill, about the history, and then go explore. It's perfect. So I was the only one. There were other people there shopping, not a lot. It was very chill. And I sat at the table. I was watching the VHS, I believe it was a VHS video of the mill. And yeah, I felt like, absorbing content from the film, still looking behind me with all these like beautiful yarns, beautiful colors, and trying to focus. It was great. And yep, did the video, great. So now I've learned about some more of the history of the mill. So let me tell you about a bit of the history because I didn't even do that yet. Look at me. Yes, I had a date. It was like 1859, I believe. Or, oh no, sorry, that was the Textile Museum. It was definitely like, oh, here, 1898. So, okay, even before we get into the goodness, this is what I find so cool. This is all, historical things that we don't necessarily always have in Canada and open to the public. So this mill opened in 1898. Fleeces from the farmers in the area were brought by them to the mill to be processed into essentially yarn. They didn't have roads at the time, apparently, that led to the mill. So what would happen is the farmers would load up their fleeces on boats, little rowboats, and row them to the mill to get processed. There's little iconic, actually, pictures of this with the boat, the fjord, and the mill, even on their label. I'll insert a little picture here. So it's very dear, I find, very sweet that this is part of the history of the museum, the farmers, the link of everyone in the community. Just a gorgeous little story. Yes, I also saw that this is still a family-owned and operated business. The owner now, I believe it's 4th generation. His name is Oyvind Meyer. I hope I'm saying that okay. And that was it. Film finished. Great. So now candy shop. I'm just drooling. I'm trying to document some of the stuff as quickly as I can with video and photo. But now, like, also yarn shopping. I'm yarn shopping in the best mill ever. So I'm squishing, I'm smelling, I'm sniffing, I'm just having the most glorious time. And who do I see? I look across the way and there's a dude that's inspecting some of the yarn. He's like taking one skein down, looking, assessing, putting it back. And dude, like, he's a guy in the mill, which again, there were some other men. There was like some, lovely husbands and things, but he was solo. And he turned around. I saw his face. It was Oyvind, the fourth generation family owned and operated head of the mill. He was right there. I was losing my mind. My palms were sweating. I was like, oh my gosh, this is him. So calm and collected. So again, you're seeing like all the highs and everything. So I walk over and I said, hi, I'm Jennifer. I'm here visiting your mill for the first time. I'm from Canada. Are you Oyvind? He says, yes. He's like, do we know each other? I'm like, well, we do now. I said, I saw you in the video. You're the fourth generation owner. He's like, oh, yes. So generous with his time. We had a little bit of a chat. I told him how much I love his yarn and how I had ventured from Canada with this was my mission. I made the pilgrimage to come to the mill, his mill, and just be delighted by what they're producing. And I feel he was very generous with his time. In the end, and we didn't talk for that long. I felt like I didn't want to keep him that long. I asked, are you okay if I take a little selfie? Generously, he was like, okay, sure, no problem. What? So I did a little photo of us and I thanked him very much. And then I started my shopping. I mean, could I have had, could anyone have had a better experience and opening into this whole mill, time at the mill at Hillesvag? Like, not possible. This was the best. I was on cloud nine. Anyway, so now we're shopping. We're going around. The mill itself is, I think, very big. There is the processing component of the mill that's located, I believe, on the second floor. It's like a shaft and then all the huge machines. Some of the machines were operating. They did have some workers working and I did a nice little wave. I tried to see what was going on, take some video, but you couldn't see much. There was a huge machine in the way. But massive space with so much yarny goodness, of course. So tons of twisted yarns. Mostly, of course, wool. Norwegian wools, some, there were the two breeds, the white Old Norse sheep and the gray Old Norse sheep. They have cotton yarns, they have sock yarns, obviously, that have a synthetic in them to give them strength. I could have gone bananas and literally I wanted everything. I had to decide on what I wanted. They had a whole section of just English printed pattern kits, very selective though, and didn't really speak to me. They had different fibers that were obviously clean carded and colored. I could have lost my mind because if you know and have been here, I've just started doing drop spindle, so I really wanted some of that. Anyway, moving on. They had unspun yarn, as you've already seen. I'm going to show you some more. It was everything. It was everything that I could have dreamed of. They had tons of samples. They had tons of books. They had printed patterns. They had Hillesvag specific patterns that I'm going to show you one that I purchased. It was incredible. Okay. They also have some non-Hillesvag yarn options as well. So, for example, they had like in my memory, and I have to look at the video, like the whole line of Knitting for Olive, where you could go into the mill, of course, with the intent of yarn shopping and for Hillesvag yarn. But then you have options where you're not constricted to just the Hillesvag yarns. You can pair with a mohair, for example, because they're carrying different lines of mohairs that you can actually pair as you are on location in the mill, which I think is just genius because now you're not having to do the guessing game of, is this going to match? Just so smart, so smart. So I loved every second of it. I was overwhelmed, of course, as you can tell, by the choices I had to make. Again, very little room in my suitcase left to go back to Canada, carry on only. I had already bought yarn, if you've seen previously, so I was really running low on space. I wanted absolutely unspun yarn. I was willing to put in a zippy, sit on it, and squish it as much as I could to somehow get it back home. I was willing to put it like in my shirt. Like I was willing to do what I had to do. One of the ladies that worked there, she was checking in on me, just making sure I was okay and finding what I needed. And I said, like, I just want everything. But I explained my situation with the suitcase. She's like, that's fine. She's like, we'll do a shipment. We'll do a delivery. She's like, you have to pay for it, but we can like box it up and send it to Canada. I'm like, oh, that would be so incredibly helpful. I said, yes, let's do it. I said, can you price it out? And it wasn't insane. So they do it by full kilogram amounts. 1, 2, 3 kilograms is the max. And I got the max. Of course I did. And it was like, I want to say $55 Canadian, which at the time I was like, that is a little crazy, but it allows me to get the yarn that I really want. I wouldn't be able to get it otherwise to bring it back home. And in hindsight now, looking at the Garntopia option, and I'm no offense to Garntopia, I know it's all the different things that are out of the control. $55 is such a bargain for all the yarn that I had shipped over. Let's get into the yarn. We're going to do this. All right. So first you've seen the unspun, which is the Forgarn. This is the 2-strand plated yarn that they have. They had multiple colorways, of course, very natural colorways, although they've just recently came out with dyed options. I believe this is an undyed. There was no colorway name to it, but just beautiful neutral color and screams fall to me. I love it, love it, love it. I did get a second quantity and color of unspun yarn. This is the hero to me. And again, you're going to see it and think, wow, Jennifer, this is so not your color. It's really not, but I fell in love. Let me show you. Sorry, she's a lot. Stunning, stunning. So this is 3 plates. I only bought 2 plates of the neutral, like brownie gray. I brought 3 of this. I didn't even say, sorry. The brownie gray that I just showed with 2 plates is about 200 grams per plate. So we're looking at about 400 grams-ish, give or take, because each plate is slightly different. This is about 600 grams of unspun. As you've seen with the tulip sweater, not even the full 2 plates, and I'm going to have a sweater no problem with long sleeves. This is going to allow me to do something bigger, more texture. I mean, this just allows me to have a play. And I thought the color was stunning. I hope you can see it's not blowing out. It is I would call a like robin egg blue with a marled gray. It's just stunning. It is out of my comfort zone, not in my wheelhouse of normal colors, which is like greens, oranges for this time of year. You've seen in the spring, I've done really bright, fun colors, bright corals, neons, pinks. This is very different for me, but as soon as I saw it, I just was gravitated. I just gravitated. It's the best. So 3 plates of this. I did like a micro swatch to give me an idea before. And yeah, I mean, I don't even know what I'm going to make with this. I have a pattern that I purchased from Hillesvag. It's called the Lotus Sweater. It's a physical only pattern. I don't believe can buy it digitally. And it's I'll show you this. It's a simple construction sweater, I believe top down, double photo neckline with a just pretty detailed, what's this called? Shoulder? Oh my gosh, words. This is the gauge that was very probable for the unspun while I was there. I think it's like a 15 stitch gauge count. And I just really wanted kind of like a memento as well, and a simple sweater that I can work up with potentially this yarn or another yarn. But I just felt like I can't get this at home. So this is the Lotus sweater. It's an English pattern, and they had, again, few English patterns. They did have some, but obviously less than the Norwegian options. So it might be a Lotus sweater, but I'm thinking it might be more textury and cable-y. I'm not sure. You know, I'm on a cable train, so that might happen. We shall see. So yes, Lotus sweater, the unspun yarn. Now we're going to get into the spun yarns. I have 3 spun yarns. I think I'm going to go with this guy first. This is Troll. It is just glorious. I mean, they're all glorious. Like, let's be honest. I didn't even like give this like a nice little whiff. This is stunning. If you are into sheepy smells, this takes gold. Like, this is the best sheepy smell. This is sheepy, but not half as sheepy as the unspun. So Troll is, we actually have a ball band on this guy. Didn't have any information with the Forgarn. This is a all Norwegian wool. This is what I love about Hillesvag and some of the American and Canadian mills that I've gone to, is that this is authentic. This is like Norwegian, tried and true, made in Norway with Norway content. This is like Norwegian sheep. I love this. I love that it's like family owned and operated. I love that. All of this and what it represents and the quality of it, you can't get any better. Yes, so 100% Norwegian sheep, norsk ull. It's 100 grams, of course. This is about 114 meters. It's very light. I didn't have any discussion around the yarn and the details of the yarn or the fabrication of the yarn. But to me, again, from my yarny knowledge, this is a woolen spun, which means it's a lighter, less dense wool than worsted. It's lovely. It looks like it's 2 strands twisted, and it looks super uniform. Haven't knit with it yet, but looks super uniform. They're suggesting a 5.5 or 6 millimeter needle to make about 14 stitches per 10 centimeters or 4 inches. And yeah, it's colorway 1. Shocking. It's undyed. And here is that little boat thing I was talking about, how the rowboats would come in with their fleeces to the mill. This is the actual mill that is still the mill today. Stunning. Love everything about it. This, I bought the most that I've bought of the yarn. Here we are. I have a quantity of 6. This is the most, other than the Forgarn that I have in that blue, because again, I was thinking maybe cables, maybe something a little bigger. I don't know, but this yarn was also on sale. It was in their sale section in a bin. I can't even. I would have paid full price for this. In my memory, I have to look at the bill. The bill's in a separate section of my house. We'll call it the North Wing, you know, the condo. Yeah, I want to say it was like Canadian, maybe 5.50 Canadian per skein. I did calculate it, and it's like, it's going to be like a $40-50 sweater, I think, in the end. Like, that's crazy. I can't even get wool in general for that here. So I feel like that alone, the unspun and the Troll, that was a win. That was a win. This is going to make a fabulous winter sweater. I can't wait. I want to knit everything. Just wait. Then I got this. Okay, brown. Are you thinking like, hey, Jennifer, we just saw brown? Yeah, you did. You did. I knit. Oh, we've got a little fluff here. I finished my Norwegian cast on and cast off actually in Norway. That was the Karl Johan sweater. I knit that in Tinda by Hillesvag. I didn't buy it there because I bought it in, where's that? Knitting Loft. Before I left. So it was a Canadian purchase, but Norwegian yarn. And that was my first brown thing I've ever knit, and I love it. If you want to find out more, it's in my last video on Bergen. We were feeling brown, and I knew, I had the insight, I knew that this would be exactly where I wanted my heart to go with brown. I was loving the makeup and experience of knitting with the Tinda in that light brown, the Lisbrun, for the Carl Johan sweater, and all the brownie bits were just calling to me. We did this. It's a very deep, dark brown. It has a touch of warmth, but I think in general is more cooler brown, if that makes sense. I would call this is the epitome to me, if I had to name it, chocolate brown. The color doesn't even have a colorway on it. It has Villeneuve. Oh, maybe it is, like 2116. Here. Mork brun. Mork, I don't know what mork is. Dark, maybe? Dark brown. It's chocolate brown. It doesn't get more folly than this brown. I didn't even say this is the Vald yarn. It's Ren wool. Listen to me. Ren wool, which I believe means virgin wool from what I remember. You might have to correct me on that. And again, I believe it's Norwegian yarn. It's just a stunner. This I got 5 of. No, yes, 5. So this is a normal amount of meterage or yardage I would get to make a regular sweater. This is like in general, but as you're seeing, depending what we do, like my Guernsey cancer, that was 5, it needs to be 6. So this will be a more fitted sweater. It's a really heavy gauge. I didn't even talk about that. So they're recommending about a 4.5 to 5 millimeter needle, and it is an 18 stitch gauge count, or 18 stitch per 10 centimeter or 4-inch gauge swatch. It's so good. I really want to just wear this wool. Like, that is what I want to do. That is the Vald Ull from Hillesvag. My last yarn is this. And this was on sale too. This was also like $5.50 Canadian as well. So again, crazy inexpensive. Then this is a pièce de résistance, I would say. This is the yarn that was not on sale, but I mean, it all has my heart. The color is outstanding. This is the Norsk Vilso. I don't know. It's again 100% Norwegian wool, and it is. How can I describe this beast? Like, it's a dark green. I want to say, and it's showing up. It's pretty true. I think pretty true to what you're seeing in real life. It's a cross between like forest green. I would say forest green meets kissed with a teal. It's a very alluring green to me. It is one that makes my heart excited. It's so stunning. I'll tell you about this. It's 100 grams. We're looking at 200 meters. They're suggesting, I don't know, they're suggesting something, but I can't read it because it's covered up for the needles. I think they're saying it should knit up to be about 18 stitches per 10 centimeters or 4 inches. And I can't read the rest because it's covered. So I don't know what needle. Probably about the same as the Veld, which is a 4.5 or 5 millimeter needle. It's so gorgeous. I wish you could touch it. This is rustic. I'd have to say, out of the other options that I have here, that the green that I just showed you is the most rustic. I think, and I don't know, I'd have to do a little research as I get into the skeins and knitting with this. I think if I had to guess, this is the gray Old Norse sheep, because it does have that feel. It has that same feel as Tinda. So if I had to guess, I think it's the same wool. It's just thicker than Tinda. If I'm right, like, hurrah, I'm not sure. And this to me feels woolen spun. It's very dense and heavy, if that makes sense. Whereas the Troll is spun in such a different way. It's super light and it's soft compared to this. If you use the word itch in your description of yarns, this is itchier than this guy. The brown, I don't know. To me, it does have that quality of Tinda. It does. I don't know. This one, I don't know. This one is, it's hard to say. This one is scratchier. It is. It's more rustic. This one's a little finer. And I don't know if it's a different sheep. I don't know. You can chime in. And I haven't done the research on it yet. So, yeah, this one to me, I think, what are we going to guess? Are we going to guess woolen or worsted? This one's hard. This one's definitely worsted. This one's definitely woolen. This one, I don't know. This one's really playing with me. I'm not really sure. I don't even want to say because I think I'm going to be wrong. I don't want to make a guess on this one. All I know is it's gorgeous. So this is just going to be a stunning, stunning, stunning knit. This I have how many of? 5? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I have 5 of these as well, just like the brown. And this is going to be the best sweater. I'm thinking with the dark color like this green, and as well the brown, obviously separate sweater. It's going to have to be like just a stunning but plain sweater that might have some interesting details like in the shoulder line. But I think for me, and where I'm going with these in my brain at this point, is I want the yarn to shine, which it will. And so I'm thinking just stockinette projects. Could be a raglan, could be a drop shoulder. I'm not sure, but that's what I'm thinking of these. Whereas this guy, because he's going to just be gorgeous with textured, he's got to be a textured sweater. And then, yeah, this unspun, I really don't know yet. I mean, I think the quantity is throwing me off, and I don't want to just do a plain stockinette with this. I think this is going to take me, I think, more time to decide how I'm going to use this in my wardrobe and pairing it with what I already have in there for different outfits, because, yeah, we need this to shine too. That is the wool. I also was generously gifted the Hillesvag tote. I've been trying to keep it in pristine condition to show you because I'm so excited to receive this. The ladies, and like, I don't know if like Oyvind is listening, at the end when I did all the yarn and we weighed the box to see how much things were, I was like, can we add this in please? And they're like, just have it, just take it. And I think for probably the amount of money that I had spent there in general at this point, they were like, just go, you're fine. Wrapping up this amazing yarn experience and shopping and all the thing, meeting the 4th generation owner and working with these 2 lovely, gorgeous ladies that helped me with all my decisions because I literally could have bought everything in there. I had to go. It was the craziest thing. So I had warned the ladies halfway through. I said, I have to catch a bus at 4:06. If I don't catch it, I don't get back to Bergen. So like, okay, we got it. So they had organized and weighed and charged me for the yarn, for the delivering of the package and everything. Super lovely, super helpful, made it so simple. And I said, I have to go. Like, okay, go. I'm like, I have to go now. Like, I had to run again. We're running uphill both ways. So I take my backpack, because I was traveling with backpack that day, and I ran up the hill. ran up the hill, ran up the switchbacks. The switchbacks were like this, like the angle of them was insanity. And I have to say, even as I would classify myself as a fit person, I was toast. I got to the end of the switchbacks because I gave it up the switchbacks. Because again, I was like, I'm going to be stranded in Hillesvag with yarn, which is great, but I will be stranded. So I got to the bus stop, which is, it's hard to explain. There's the highway here, but the bus stop is like kind of around a little corner and to me, somewhat out of sight, which is weird. So the girl that was helping me out in Hillesvag said, you have to flag the bus down and then they'll come. So thank gosh she told me this. Eyes are peeled. She also said, the bus is probably late, so don't stress. It will come. It'll just be late. So I was like, okay, this is really good to know. So I get up there and eyes are peeled. Also, I don't technically know what direction it would be coming from. I know what direction I'm traveling in now back to Bergen, but is it a bus that comes from Bergen and turns around back again? I don't know. Is it a bus that's coming from the other direction and continues? I don't know. Eyes are peeled looking for this bus. I am ready to do jumping jacks to get the bus's attention. And so I'm out there. I'm out there for like 20 minutes at this point waiting for the bus. It's late. It's not coming. I'm also doubting. I'm like, am I going to get back to Bergen? And there's no cabs. There's no cabs. I'm like an hour outside of Bergen plus. Like, I don't even know. And I felt a car that was hanging out in the area. And normally, you know, I can fend myself if I need to. I don't want to. And I was like, oh man, like I don't want to have to deal with this. And I was feeling safe. It's Norway. It's a super safe country. But I was like, oh no, is this going to be okay? And I didn't turn, I felt it. You know, I live in the city in Toronto. There's a lot of things that happen here. I was like, I'm just going to like not look, like ostrich in the sand. Eventually I was like, they were staying forever and the car was running. It's like, oh, I got to look. So I turn around. And it's the woman that helped me from the mill. She pulls up as soon as she noticed. I finally turned around. She rolls down the window, very cautious. And she's like, are you okay? I said, I'm fine. She's like, the bus hasn't come yet. I said, no. I said, you know what? You get on your way. It's dinner time. Like, you go. Thank you so much for your help. I said, I'm fine. I feel fine. Like, I feel safe. The bus will come. Are you sure? She insisted. Are you sure? I said, yes. Thank you so much. So nice of her. So she went on her way. And at that point, when she pulled off, I was like, oh God, I'm totally alone now. Totally alone. My phone's not going to work. I don't have internet. I have no car. Like, okay. Waited for, I think, another 20 minutes. There was a bus. There was a bus that was coming from this direction. And I did one of these. I was like, ooh. Like, come and get me. The bus goes like around the corner to come in this like cul-de-sac thing to get me. And I was just like, thank gosh, like here we are. Thank gosh. So I hop on the bus and it's a coach bus. I don't think this was the right bus that was supposed to pick me up. It's fine. I don't care. He's going to Bergen. Wonderful. Charged me 24 Canadian dollars to get to Bergen. That's fine. You know what? No problem. This was not the right bus, I don't think, but that's okay. And went back to Bergen. In hindsight, looking back at the bus that I took from Sochos to Hillesvag, it actually made sense that he didn't know what the Bergen card was because we were no longer in Bergen. And I never thought about that until after. That was the adventure to Hillesvag. We ran uphill both ways to Hillesvag. We met the first generation owner, and I feel like I have the best yarn. I'm thrilled. Best experience ever. Can't wait to go back. If you are considering to go to Norway, you must go to the Hillesvag Mill. If you're considering to go to Bergen, without a card, it is possible to get to the mill. Do I recommend going without a car? No, No, the bus is a little crazy. And I feel if you are not a runner and maybe not as silly as I am to go by yourself and do all the crazy things I did, I would suggest renting a car to get to the mill. That is what I would have to say. But do I suggest going? Absolutely. It is something not to be missed. It is out of the way slightly, 120% worth going. So I had the best time. Thank you. If anyone from Hillesvag's watching, it was the best. I'm moving on to Zurich, and we are going to wrap this baby up. Zurich was the last absolute stop of this trip for the love of my life and I. We flew from Bergen to Zurich the next day, first thing in the morning. Airport in Bergen was stunning. They offered homemade, fresh baked goods within the airport. I was so taken that there was beautiful food, never mind being baked fresh. I completely forgot to submit or get my VAT tax-free purchases confirmed by the airport. We had all the time in the world at the airport. I think we were there for like 2.5 hours waiting for a flight, which is totally normal for us. I was just like into the baked goods, loving the baked goods. We get into Switzerland and it is just everything we love. It was a very quick and dirty. We were there, I think, technically 2 days, 2 nights. But if you look on paper, the amount of hours we were there, it was like a day and a bit. When we landed, we went right into Zurich proper, which is very close to the airport. And we were staying in Lindenhof, which is an older or original section of Zurich. So beautiful buildings. True to form at this time of the year, there were all the Swiss flags up because it was near Swiss National Day, which we often find ourselves if we're in Switzerland. This is the time in the summer. So it's very patriotic with these beautiful square, only square flag, I believe, for a country with the Swiss flag everywhere. It was beautiful. We had dinner at a traditional Swiss, I would say, beer house. And it was the Zugerhauskeller, which is in an old armory. It was amazing. It was supposed to be very touristy. We had the best time. Communal seating, like a beer hall. We had beer. We had schnitzel. It was amazing. Love it. Love Switzerland. Love Swiss food. And the next day, we went on a huge walk. We walked everywhere around the city. We left, of course, the area of Lindenhof. We went along the river of Lippmatt. We went down to the lake, the Zurich. I'm not saying this right, probably. It was a beautiful day. It was people that were out enjoying the day. True to form for the Swiss in our experience is that it was, first of all, it was a beautiful sunny day. It was hot. And people were enjoying. I feel this is our experience when we're in Switzerland and much of Western Europe, is that people allow themselves to enjoy the simple pleasures. And this is what we experienced in Zurich. So people were sunbathing, they were swimming, they were boating, they were walking their dogs, they were holding hands, they were eating ice cream. It was just a really lovely time. We had literally done a massive walk. We were picking up little bits and bites as we were going and finished the day with a glass of bubbles along the river overlooking the sights. It was beautiful. It was a really lovely way to end such a gorgeous trip. And in Switzerland, of all places, it is, I think, I know the love of my life's favorite place. We have so many, but we've always had such lovely memories there. And it was a really nice conclusion to our summer voyage together. We hopped on a plane the next day, first thing in the morning, to head back into Toronto. that was our trip. This has become a bit of a longer episode, and so happy that you are still here. I cannot wait to come up with knitting plans for the yarn that I have from Hillesvag. I can't wait to share about the whips and their progression into finished objects that I'm going to be so excited and happy to wear this fall. I definitely have the fall bug. I'm ready for autumn in the biggest of ways, and I can't wait. I can't wait for it. I'm here. I'm ready. I mean, as you know, I've been knitting all the fall-y things already. Right. I would like to thank you very much for being here today. If you found yourself enjoying this episode, liked the silly stories, maybe enjoyed some of the yarny goodness, I definitely invite you to like and subscribe to the account. If you're feeling yourself ever more, there is a Ko-Fi link located below where you can make a donation to me, which would be so lovely, and I really appreciate your generosity, so thank you very much for that. Just plugging again, if you know anyone with this yarn or how I can get my hands on this, I would be thrilled for you to let me know so that I can finish the sweater in the way that I'm envisioning with proper sleeves. Would be amazing. We will say until next time, we were going to be talking about all the fall-y things. I wish you the very best of your knitting or making. And until next time, take care.